Hey, VA borrowers. My name is Steve Doherty. I'm the Raleigh VA loan guy. I'm a loan officer here in Raleigh, North Carolina, and a United States Marine Corps veteran. Today, I want to talk about how long it takes to actually get pre-approved. What is a pre-approval? A pre-approval is when a loan officer like me has communicated to you that your income, assets, and credit are worthy of a loan, whether that's VA, USDA, FHA, or conventional. In other words, you fit within the parameters of that program. So how long does that process take? Well, it really depends on three factors. Let's take a look. The first factor in determining how long your pre-approval will take is how robust of a pre-approval you want. Do you want that to be bulletproof, or are you comfortable with your pre-approval being based merely on your representations? What do I mean by this? Do you want your pre-approval to only depend on the numbers that you inputted into an online application? A lot of big banks have software that uses various algorithms and AI to get you to a pre-approved status. However, if you make a typo or if you incorrectly calculate your income, that pre-approval could be wrong. You may not be pre-approved after all. So that could be done within a few seconds of submitting an online application, but it's not that good. On the other end of the spectrum, you could submit your file to, or we could submit your file to underwriting and do what we call a TBD submission, right? Whereas the property is to be determined. And your file is actually reviewed by an underwriter. This will take time. Most banks do not have the resources to immediately divert an underwriter's attention away from actual under contract files to someone who's just seeking a very airtight pre-approval. So whereas, you could have an instant pre-approval if you're being evaluated by a computer program, on the other end of the spectrum, a very, very, ironclad pre-approval reviewed by an underwriter, that could take a week depending on when you can get that file in front of an underwriter. I would say a very, very good pre-approval would take anywhere from a couple hours or maybe 1 hour to a day, depending on the time cycle of when you've submitted it, right? And in that really, really good pre-approval, that's not absolutely bulletproof, but it's still good enough that you can start making offers on homes. It's going to be a review of verifying documents, right? We're going to confirm your income and assets with asset statements, bank statements, retirement account statements, pay stubs, W-2s, tax returns if you're self-employed or if you own rental properties. That's a really, really good pre-approval, and that can be done pretty quickly once your file is actually complete, once your application has been submitted and the loan officer gets a chance to look at it. The second factor in determining how long your pre-approval will take to be done is how much you want to push your budget. In other words, let's say you submit an application and you're trying to purchase a home for $400,000 and you make a lot of money. Maybe that $400,000 purchase price is easily within your budget. There's some other income factors that we could incorporate, but they may take some time to confirm. We can just skip those as long as you have enough income to qualify for that $400,000 price point. However, let's say on a conventional mortgage, your debt to income ratio is 49.99, and that's about as high as we can go. Or let's say in a VA loan that the computer will only accept your file at a debt to income ratio of 59.99%. Well, in that case, we're going to want to be extra sure that we've used every single penny of potential qualifying income that we have, and so that there aren't any errors, so that after you get under contract, we don't have to come back to you and say, actually, you're not pre-approved after all. The final and the biggest determinant of how long it takes to get pre-approval is the complexity of your income. Okay. If you are retired, this is a very easy analysis, right? Maybe you have some pension income. Maybe you have Social Security income. That's very, very easy to verify. It's very, very easy to calculate. If we want to gross up your non-tax Social Security number, we may need to collect a couple other documents to see whether or not you pay taxes on that Social Security income. But for the most part, those are very, very easy processes. Or let's say you have a base annual salary. Your base annual salary is $120,000. It's not contingent on performance. There's no commission, bonus, overtime rolled into that. That's pretty easy. That's a pretty easy calculation. We're basically taking your base salary and we're dividing it by 12, right? That can be done in a minute. But as your streams of income become more complex or varied, the more time we need to review the documents and to calculate what we can actually give you credit for, right? So let's say you're a 1099 employee. Do you file a Schedule C? Yes. Okay. Now we need to look at that Schedule C and see if you claim any losses or if you claim any expenses that would be offsetting your gross income. What if you own an LLC or an S Corp or you're a member in a partnership where now we're looking at tax returns? We're looking at potentially 1165s, 1120Ss, 1065s rather, 1120Ss, maybe K1s, right? Maybe you have multiple LLCs. Maybe you have multiple LLCs and multiple investment properties. This is all going to layer the amount of documents that we need to review to calculate your income. We also need to make sure that this income is likely to continue, right? So all the more sources of income you have and the more complex those sources of income are, the longer it will take to generate a good pre-approval. If you are self-employed and a loan officer or a lender or a bank or an online platform tells you you're pre-approved within a few minutes of submitting your application, I would push back on that. I would ask questions. I would make sure you are actually pre-approved because for the most part, online platforms are not perfect at reading things like tax returns to understand exactly how much income we can use. There are other little things that computers get wrong when they're looking at tax returns. Let's say in year 2021, your wife had your spouse had a little bit of self-employed income, but that business no longer exists. I've seen computer programs count that towards the total qualifying income when in reality, we can't do that. So the more complex your income, the more time it will take to get you pre-approved and the more time you should want the loan officer to spend on your file to make sure that you're actually pre-approved. Again, my name is Steve Doherty. I'm the Raleigh VA loan guy. I'm a loan officer here in Raleigh, North Carolina, and a United States Marine Corps veteran. If you have any questions about this topic or if you would like me to get you pre-approved, please contact me. Send me an email, leave a comment below, send me a text message, look me up on Google. I'd be more than happy to help you out.